So good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, the Grand Experiment Part 2. This month, as Rich was explaining, we do get back to basics in religious science. We go back to the first 4 books that begin the science of mind. And we talk about our fundamental science of mind tenets. And so we do this in our own unique way. Every church does, because it would get boring if we did it the same way every year. So we try to do our own little spin on it. But we want to have fresh eyes, and we want to give a new perspective to our life-changing and life-altering techniques. So last week, we engaged in the Grand Experiment. Well, actually, there were a couple of experiments that we got into last week. And our experiments were to test the theory, to build our faith and belief in the idea that there is an infallible law in this universe that works through us. It doesn't work for us, it works through us. It's the only way it can work. So last week, the first experiment we did was to set an intention, and Suzanne had you do that in the service. Who was here last week? Okay, so you guys will get to share what intention you set. To experience an unexpected blessing or to receive an unexpected gift within 48 hours of the Sunday service. And I was going to share, what did I do with the book?
It's right there on top.
Oh, wait, where? No, not that book.
Oh.
It's Pam Grout's. It's all from Pam Grout's. If you've done Pam Grout's E squared. I said it someplace. I thought I put it in here. Anyway, it's such a fun book. It is such a great book to just go through and do the experiments. We did a whole class on it and shared it, and we had an absolute blast. So anyway, it was really, it's quite interesting. So the other part of the experiment was to have our eyes open so that we were sure to see what that blessing was. So the second experiment that we were going to do was in 2 24-hour segments. And the first 24 hours was spent manifesting, fill in the color and type of a car that you wanted to see. Okay, it could be anything. In the book, it was, I think, a yellow Jetta or something like that. I chose a blue Acura SUV, and I'll go on with my story in a minute. And then in the next 24 hours, seeing butterflies or purple feathers or something that you don't normally see. You were to look for that. Okay, so I found my unexpected blessing on Tuesday, but I didn't get it until Wednesday. A coworker took me out to lunch as a thank you for picking him up at a car repair place. And so it's like I wasn't expecting that. That was, it was kind of really a free lunch. So that was kind of good. So next, I set my intention to see a blue Acura SUV. And so I'm looking, and I'm driving, and then I'm realizing it's getting close to the deadline, and I haven't even seen an Acura, And so I get home on Wednesday, and this little pamphlet is sitting there, and it says Pinehurst, Legendary Drives, Pinehurst, 1895. And what the heck is this? And it's like this hotel and Champions where you can go play golf. And I go, what is this? And I turn around to the back, and it says Acura. I went, okay. So I keep looking through. Here's a woman getting a massage and a spa and accommodations. Isn't that great? Dining. Well, sounds like a great place, right? Oh, wait. And here are the cars. Here's a white Acura. Here's a silver Acura. Oh, there's that blue SUV Acura right there. I was like, okay, that was pretty awesome. So, Then my other thing that I was going to look for was a yellow feather. I got a little sidetracked. I haven't seen it. I haven't given up yet. It didn't fall into my 24 hours, but I know that it will be there. I will see it. It's there someplace. We had a little disruption this weekend, but I know that that's there, and I was pretty darn pleased with this blue Acura. So next is to see it in my driveway. So, anyway, what was your experience with these experiments? Did anybody do these experiments?
Yeah, I'll share mine.
Okay.
I was having to pay a bill which I couldn't call and use my debit card, and our checks had been
Compromised.
absconded. A check of each of us, and so they told me it'd be about 2 weeks before I'd get my new checks. And so everything ready to go, and just as I was leaving, I saw the mail person pull up.
You were going to go down and
I was
get,
going to go down and get a cashier's check at the bank, which is a drive of about 8 miles. I go to Goldman Credit Union, and then get the cashier's check in the mail. So I walk out to the mailbox, and lo and behold, 3 days after I ordered them, the checks are there.
and they said it would be
So I
10
didn't
days
have
to 2 weeks.
Make that drive. But later that day, it was sort of interesting too. I decided to get a couple scratchers, and
What?
What's that?
well, there are these little tickets you scratch, and you might win money. So I go in, and there's a guy in front of me, and he says, "Well, I'll buy 4 of the $30 ones and 4 of the $20 ones." He buys $200 worth of scratchers. I'm going, oh boy, I'm going to buy $6 worth. And so I said to the guy, I said, "Well, that guy must." I feel like a piker after all he bought. He says, "Oh, he's the guy that won the $4 million on the scratcher."
Wow.
I thought, well, he can afford to do it. So anyway, I buy 2 scratchers. I go home, I scratch one off, and there's $50 on it. So it was sort of neat. As far as I wanted to see a yellow Volkswagen, and my intention was, and the next day, I'm pulling out a coffee, and all of a sudden there was a yellow Volkswagen sitting there. Butterfly. I mean, I could have cheated on that because we have a butterfly egg cup, but I didn't do that. So I was still looking for my butterfly. And yesterday when we were up in Napa, we had our 10-month-old granddaughter with us. And so I decided to buy her my daughter said she needs a new nightie. And so I saw this and I said, well, this one looks nice. I pulled it up, and I hadn't even looked, and there was a butterfly on the front of it. And so, of course, I had to buy her the So, yeah, it was fun seeing those attentions and having those.
Having
things
them
occur.
come. Yeah. So, anybody else? Did they do the experiments?
We had a lot going on this week in our family. I just didn't.
Didn't get to that.
I wanted to see, and I didn't actually think I would see it, which was like an indigo blue jaguar.
Ah, okay.
You never really see jaguars anywhere, but when I went out shopping, one pulled in front of the laundromat.
Wow.
So I looked, I thought, that looks kind of like a jaguar, but I had to get out of the car and walk around to see the hood ornament.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
go, well, how about that?
How about that?
But I didn't ask for a feather. I wanted to see unusual, and a bird I've never seen before.
Oh.
And a post came on Facebook it was a whole bunch of them. It was like
Oh.
10 different birds that I've never seen in my life.
Well, maybe I picked up your intention because driving up to Napa yesterday, we saw birds that we had never
wow.
seen before.
Wow.
Yeah, thousands of them. That was pretty
Wow.
amazing. It was great. So, anybody else? Okay. So, are you ready for some more today?
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah? Okay. All right. We're going to go deeper into these experiments. You ready for that? Okay. We're going to jump right into our experiments that coincide with our teachings around the law. Our first experiment is called the Siri principle. For those of you with Apple phones, you know who Siri is. In Science of Mind, Holmes writes, perhaps the simplest way to state the proposition is to say that we are surrounded by a mind or intelligence that knows everything, that the potential knowledge of all things exists in this mind, that the abstract essence of the beauty, truth, and wisdom coexist in the mind of the universe, that we also exist in it and may draw from it. But what we draw from it, we must draw through the channel of our own minds. A unity must be established and a conscious connection must be made before we can derive the benefits of the greater mind that is willing to reveal or impart to us. The Spirit can give us only what we can take. It imparts of itself only as we partake of its nature. So one of my teachers used to always say to me, we are an inlet from God in order to be an outlet for God. So here's a good modern day example of technology. Siri, of course, as you know, is that go-to person for Apple phone, the iPhone, and she responds to the voice commands. Who has Siri? Does everybody have Apple or close to it or something that's like that? Okay. Okay, and she answers questions, and sometimes you can have a little fun with that too. She'll answer just the most bizarre things. So the owner of the phone tells it the command that it wants it to do, and it does as it's told, usually. She responds without question or judgment or argument. She never says, well, now why is it you want to know that? Or do you really want me to put this on your calendar this day? No, she just does it. Siri, remind me when I get home to, do this. And so I get home and I get a little ding, and it's my little reminder right there. It's great. Now, Siri doesn't just have access to her small storage of data. Rather, she has immediate access to a pretty gigantic bank of information called the World Wide Web. Because a lot of times she'll ask a question and she'll say, let me look for that. I'm looking. And she'll bring up the answer on, Wikipedia or something on the web. But she's not going to do it unless you ask for it. She's not going to just say, I think you need this information. You have to ask her for the information you want before it appears. And unless we do it in a way that aligns with Siri's technology, it's just not going to happen. Because I can say, Siri, answer this, but my phone's in there, so it's not going to work. You have to do it the way that the technology is set up. So we have access to infinite wisdom and knowledge in exactly the same way. But we have to access it, and Holmes tells us we access it by making a conscious connection. We call this intuition or inner guidance. Pam Grout, the author of E Squared, who I was talking about, writes, where did we ever pick up the foolhardy notion that inner guidance was restricted to a lucky few? A lot of it goes back to those myths we believed about God. There's that he's oh so mysterious and only on call on Sundays. The part that was left out is that our inner guidance is reliable and is constantly available. It's there anytime you choose to listen, same as CNN is on anytime you decide to turn it on, or when you are looking through whatever you choose to turn on and watch on TV, it's there. It is that reliable, and you are free to put it on the spot to demand clear answers now. That's the part I love. We can say, I need an answer, and I need it now. Clear answer now. So, what is our experiment this week going to be? Your mission, should you decide to choose it, is to spend the next 48 hours expecting a specific, concrete answer to a specific, concrete question. So, you have to think about what that question might be. It can be as simple as whether or not to purchase a new appliance, or more life-altering as to whether or not to adopt a new animal. No, we're not going to adopt a new animal, Leela. Or to move across the country to be with your boyfriend, or take a new job, or something in between. But make it something that may be troubling you or giving you a little bit of a, upset. Life isn't exactly the way you want it feeling. Something you're confused about, or maybe in an area that you just don't know what to do. Whatever it is, give your inner guidance 48 hours to deliver your answer and send the message that you want the guidance in crystal clear text, however it is you want it. You want it to be so clear that you can't miss it. And then be prepared for the answer. A lot of times we ask the questions, but we really don't want to see those answers. Like, okay, I want to know, but don't tell me. Yeah. Pam Grout says that when she posed the question, is it time to launch my freelance writing career? Her answer came as getting fired from her job. She wrote that in retrospect, it was the perfect answer and perhaps the only way she could actually have heard it. A lot of times we're not really ready to move on until something pushes us, perhaps like the gentleman who got into something in him. Yeah. She wrote, I've had situations like that, and oftentimes there's, what is it they say, that the universe will give you a little nudge, like a little feather, and we'll kind of ignore it. And then the universe will kind of give you a little shove. And the next thing you know, you got a 2x4 coming at you. You're like, okay, I get it. And there are definite messages that we get that way. So that is your first 48-hour experiment to prove to yourself that, to paraphrase Holmes, we exist in and may draw from a mind or intelligence that knows everything. And that the abstract essence of beauty, truth, and wisdom are ours if we but establish a consciousness and a unity and connection with it. So that's what we're going to do. So spend the next 48 hours establishing that conscious unity and connection. And we can do that by meditating, getting into that space where we feel clear, and then asking that question and demanding. You know, I've also had a friend. Do you remember Russ? I don't know if you remember Russ. Oh, you do remember Russ.
Reverend Rose?
Yeah, Reverend Russ. He was in practitioner class with me, and he had a bad back, and he was having some issues. And he sat up one night and he said, "Damn it, I want this done, and I want it solved." And it was. But he had to get angry about it. I mean, that was the way it worked for him. Sometimes we just have to get so crystal clear and demand an answer, and he did. And that was quite a demonstration there. So experiment 2 is the abracadabra principle. And most people think the word abracadabra is a nonsensical word that a magician uses before he does a magic trick, right? But we know that it does have meaning. It's an Aramaic term that translates in English as, "I will create as I speak." Wow. That's pretty powerful, huh? Pam Grout says, "The only reason we don't change water into wine or heal cancer with one touch is because our thoughts are scattered all over the place. Instead of being one constant, aimed tuning fork, our thoughts are more like a junior high band of beginning trumpet players." Okay, I played the trumpet. I know what that sounds like. On one hand, we are praying for things to work out. On the other hand, we worry that they won't. So we're giving energy in 2 different directions. At the same time, we imagine a positive outcome, and then we secretly think optimism is a bunch of baloney. Well, aren't they just, Pollyanna? Okay, we're giving ourselves mixed messages, aren't we? We want to be committed to a relationship with so-and-so, but what if she leaves or he leaves? We want to make money, but didn't the Bible say something about camels and rich people in the eye of the needle? I don't remember all of that, right? The force law is literally pouncing off the walls. Go this way. No, wait, go that way. It's knocking around like a lightning bug in a mason jar. And you've never seen a lightning bug, but someday I promise you will see a lightning bug. It's being dissipated because we have no clear bead on what it is we really want. It's not the field of potentiality that isn't answering our prayers. It's just that we are praying for too many things in too many directions. Sure, you begged for peace of mind today, but then you also spent 1,200 thoughts obsessing about that damned coworker who stole your website idea. I do that at 2 o'clock in the morning, not about that, but silly things. Yes, you made the intention to think and grow rich, but you also devoted 500 thoughts to worrying about your overdue car payment. When you understand prayer for what it really is, it's easier to understand why that one-time plea to God doesn't always pan out. So that was Pam Grout, a little paraphrasing with me. So Holmes, in The Science of Mind, says something similar. He says, "Many people began their treatment in this manner. I know that the principle of intelligence within me will direct me, etc. Then they complete it with the thought, well, I certainly hope it does. This is entirely forgetting any definite statement and is simply wondering if possibly some good will come along. This is not a correct treatment and is not a scientific use of principle. Hope is good. It is better than despair, but it is a subtle illusion and is an unconscious compromise and has no part in the ineffectual mental treatment. We should say to doubt, where did you come from? Who is your father, etc. You have no place in my mind. Get out. I know what the faith within me now neutralizes all doubt. This is the scientific use of a mental statement. There must be no compromise with the consciousness." Now, this is where our will comes in, is to stay strong. In this experiment, you will use nothing but the power of your thoughts to magnetize something specific into your life, more significant than blue cars or butterflies or the yellow feather. And yeah, not something that will immediately send your thoughts to, yeah, right, when pigs fly, that will happen. Start with a baby step, something you can get your mind around, like front row theater tickets or flowers or that parking spot right up front. Of course, that one I think I've got mastered.
brain,
So,
yes.
yeah, I got that one mastered.
We do that in the brain.
The important part of this experiment is to be laser focused and not let your doubts get in the way. So you can start with something small and just be really clear and be really determined and sure. Holmes writes, "When we think, something happens to our thoughts. The field through which our thought operates is infinite. There is no reason to doubt it, no matter how it is approached. To thought there can be no limit. So we say that it is the nature of being to react in this way. Here and now, we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? All of it. All of it. And how much of it may we have to use? As much as we can embody, each one of us. As much as we can embody, we can have to use. We're going to have fun with this when we're rejecting our doubts, aren't we? Did any of you see the YouTube video of two of Ellen DeGeneres' crew members when they were walking through the Walking Dead zombie haunted house around Halloween? Did anybody see that on Ellen? Oh gosh. It's actually one of the funniest things I've ever seen. The man who continually hides behind the woman, there's zombies jumping at him. They're at Universal Studios, and they're screaming as they go through this whole thing. And she asks him what he's doing, and he says, "I'm protecting you." And he screams every time the zombies come out at him. And then finally he starts screaming, "Stop it now," as they come out at him. So that was like, okay, this doesn't really make sense. So when a doubtful thought comes into your consciousness, you're going to say, stop it now. Because he gets very vocal in this video. You can look it up on YouTube. It's hilarious. And it's very funny. And then refocus to what that you are saying abracadabra to. Remember, creating with your word. I am creating with my word. So those are the two grand experiments this week. We're going to test the Siri principle by opening up to inner guidance on a specific issue. And then we're going to test the abracadabra principle by setting your intention to experience, manifest something specific for yourself. In these experiments, we're training our minds, our thoughts, because we know that a trained thought is so much more. In fact, that's a question on the test. When you're taking Science of Mind 101, what's more powerful, a trained thought or an untrained thought? A trained thought is more powerful than an untrained thought, because trained thought can stay true to truth and stay true to the truth of our being, regardless of conditions and circumstances, much better than an untrained thought. But that's where our spiritual boot camp comes in, and we have to develop it. We must be in training. Just like the body has to be in training to be strong, we have to train our minds to be strong. It takes spiritual discipline, which develops strength to stay with it through whatever may occur in life. Because I'll tell you, the moment you make up your mind, things are going to come at you from a bunch of other directions, and it's like the universe saying, well, are you sure? Are you sure you really want that blue Acura? Are you sure you really want that blue Jaguar? It's going to come at you like that. So it's like, yes, I am sure, without a doubt. So I want you to see a physical demonstration of the magnificence of the trained body. And as you watch this, think about your life and what it would be like if your mind was so trained. So this is, I don't know if you want to get the lights, Rich, just to make it.
Sure.
I've had my ups and downs, my fair share of bumpy roads and heavy winds. That's what made me what I am today. Now I stand here before you. What you see is a body crafted to perfection, a pair of legs engineered to defy the laws of physics, and a mindset to master the most epic of splits.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time. We
Okay, the stunt is in fact real. The spot was done in just one take.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. God. There were some safety precautions taken. I think there were wires on him should something have gone wrong, but that does not take away from his amazing ability
yeah.
to do a perfect split between two massive
Semis.
trained vehicles. Now that is a trained body. Let's train our minds in the same way and work in harmony with what it does. Right? And so it is.
So